Picture this. You're 15 years old. You can't drive a car. You still have algebra homework due Monday, and your parents remind you to clean your room. But on weekends, you're walking down the fairways of a PGA Tour event, launching drives over 300 yards with the ease of a grown professional. That isn't Tiger Woods in the 1990s. It's Miles Russell in 2024. While much of the sports world wasn't paying attention, golf insiders started whispering something that almost felt taboo. Could this be the next Tiger Woods? But how did a quiet teenager from Florida suddenly leap from junior circuits into the highest levels of golf? And why did his story, one of the most remarkable in recent memory, slide so far under the radar? Let's dig in. Miles Russell was born and raised in Florida, a state that might as well be the heartbeat of junior golf. Warm weather, world-class courses, and a competitive scene where children barely tall enough to peek over a tee box are already swinging clubs. In Florida, golf isn't just recreation, it's culture. From the moment Miles could hold a plastic club, his natural swing stood out. Smooth, balanced, and surprisingly powerful for a child. His parents noticed early that this wasn't just a kid imitating pros on TV. This was talent worth nurturing. But junior golf isn't a casual weekend activity. It's expensive. Tournament fees, travel, equipment, coaching, families can easily spend tens of thousands each year. Behind every prodigy is a family making sacrifices, and the Russells were all in. They didn't just support his dream, they built their lives around it. And that sacrifice started paying off almost immediately. By the time most kids were still figuring out middle school, Miles was already testing himself against older players and winning. Local Florida tournaments quickly turned into regional championships. He wasn't just competing, he was dominating. Then came national recognition with wins at the Junior PGA Championship and the Junior Players Championship, events that showcase the best young golfers in the country. His name began appearing on leaderboards alongside the most promising juniors in the nation. The American Junior Golf Association, the AJGA, ranked him near the very top of its national rankings. Within golf circles, people started saying what parents whispered at practice rounds: "This kid is different." But whispers turned into headlines in 2023. The AJGA's Rolex Boys Player of the Year award isn't just another junior trophy. It's a signal. Past winners include Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson, and Jordan Spieth. Every single one went on to become a household name in professional golf. In 2023, just one day after turning 15, Miles Russell added his name to that list. He wasn't just the winner, he was the youngest ever, shattering Tiger's record, which had stood since 1991. Tiger had been 15 years and 10 months old when he won the award. Miles was 15 years and 1 day. It was a small difference in age, but a massive symbolic shift. The record books literally had to be rewritten, and it wasn't just about the record. Russell didn't squeak by. He dominated that AJGA season. 2 wins, multiple top finishes, and a resume that left no doubt he was the best junior in the country. For insiders, that was the turning point. The whispers weren't whispers anymore. They were conversations. Could this teenager from Florida be the next in line after Tiger? If the AJGA season raised eyebrows, what happened next made jaws drop. In April 2024, Miles teed it up at the Lecom Suncoast Classic, a Korn Ferry Tour event. For context, the Korn Ferry Tour is the proving ground for professionals clawing their way to the PGA Tour. It's full of players in their 20s, 30s, even 40s, who've spent years grinding for a shot. Most 15-year-olds would have been overwhelmed, but not Miles. He didn't just play, he thrived. Russell made the cut, becoming the youngest player in history to do so. And then he kept climbing, finishing tied for 20th. Not barely hanging on, but putting himself in the mix. Commentators noticed how composed he looked. No wild swings in emotion, no intimidation, just quiet focus. It was exactly how people remembered a teenage Tiger Woods, calm, deliberate, and shockingly mature. And that was just the warm-up. 2 months later, in June 2024, came the next step, the Rocket Mortgage Classic on the PGA Tour. Thanks to a sponsor's exemption, Miles walked onto the biggest stage in golf at just 15 years old. The image was surreal. ESPN pointed out that while Russell was blasting 305-yard drives down the fairway, he wasn't legally old enough to drive the courtesy car waiting for him in the parking lot. He couldn't even enter the locker room without an adult. His scorecard wasn't spectacular. He opened with a 74 and missed the cut. But that wasn't the point. The story wasn't the number. The story was the presence of a teenager competing alongside men who had spent decades chasing their shot at this level. It was a symbolic debut, and golf analysts paid close attention. So why the next Tiger label? It isn't just about breaking records, it's about presence. Miles' swing is powerful, yes. His iron shots are precise, his putting steady. But what separates him is composure. At 15, in front of cameras, under the weight of comparisons, he looks unshaken. He doesn't strut. He doesn't show arrogance. Instead, he projects confidence wrapped in calm. That's exactly what people remember about a teenage Tiger Woods: the quiet belief, the ability to stay unbothered when the stakes rise. It's why the comparison feels so natural, even if it also feels unfair. Because living under the next Tiger label isn't easy. Behind the headlines, Miles is still a kid. He still has homework, he still has curfew. While his peers are thinking about school dances or video games, he's balancing tee times with study sessions. And his family works hard to keep him grounded. They remind him he's not just a golfer, he's a teenager growing into adulthood. That grounding could be the most important piece of his story. Then there's the early sponsorship attention. Companies like Transcend Capital Advisors already see him as a face for the sport's future. And that kind of recognition brings pressure, but also opportunity. The remarkable part? Despite the buzz, interviews with Miles reveal humility. He talks about hard work, about learning, about building. He doesn't seem lost in the hype. He seems anchored in the process. And that process includes patience. In July 2025, when he'll still only be 16, Miles committed to play college golf at Florida State University. It's a huge win for Florida State, but an even bigger signal about Russell himself, because he could have chased sponsors, skipped college, and tried to turn pro early. Many prodigies have, but he didn't. Instead, he chose the steady path. College golf, development, experience, maturity. It's a choice that shows wisdom well beyond his age. Because plenty of young stars have burned out by skipping those steps, Russell doesn't seem willing to risk it. He's in no rush. And that patience may be what truly sets him apart. So where does this leave us? The next Tiger Woods label has crushed more young golfers than it has crowned. It's both blessing and curse. The weight of living up to an impossible standard has broken prodigies before, but Miles Russell feels different. He has the records, he has the talent, he has the composure, and most importantly, he has the patience. Maybe the real question isn't whether he can live up to Tiger. Maybe it's whether he even needs to. Because every step Miles Russell takes, he sets another record. Every year, he rewrites a new page of golf history. And maybe, just maybe, the sport doesn't need another Tiger Woods. Maybe it needs the first Miles Russell.